This conference will now be recorded.
Well, it's Monday morning, July 26th. Marion County Commission meeting. We'll start off with the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll get into public comments. If there's any public right off the get-go that would like to speak. We have no public in the commission meeting.
Okay, it doesn't look like we have any public on the
Okay,
call.
don't have, so we'll move on to the agenda approval. Does anybody have anything to add or subtract? I don't hear nothing from anybody, so we'll move on to administrative business then. Ask Tina.
Okay, I have the minutes of July 19th.
Everybody had a chance to review? And if you have, I'd accept a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion by Jonah. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Dave Crooklyn, second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
All right. You have change orders in your, well, I should say a single change order in your packet from prior year.
We'll have a long time.
You said just a single, right?
I believe there's only one. You might
Yeah.
double check me and
I-
make sure.
I didn't check the back of the file. Bob.
Okay, I do have some salary sheets today. A couple of those are retroactive because we were not informed of a couple of people that took on some new duties and became K-9 certified in the sheriff's office. So those two are retroactive back to last year. So.
So we currently have a truck driver.
There's been an individual hired. Right now, they're gonna be serving as an equipment operator until they have to transfer their license from another state.
From Oklahoma, Kansas, yes.
Yeah, and so then once they do that, then they'll be
Okay.
the intent is they'll be truck driver.
Okay, this is James O'Neill, hired in at $2,300 a month.
I did get an inquiry about that, and I did check with Oklahoma and Kansas. It's probably about a little longer than I thought it was gonna be, 6 to 8 week process to get that thing transferred according to Oklahoma.
Wow.
Longer than I expected.
Oklahoma has some different vehicle.
Can you speed it up, Kenny?
I asked that direct question.
As a lawyer?
And she didn't really have a great number of suggestions. She did give me another phone number to see if I could expedite it. So I will try to help along with that if I can.
I think Josh just getting ready to go on vacation pretty soon.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna be without a driver.
Okay, this one's in the sheriff's department. Change for Larry Starkey from $20.23 an hour to $25.95, appointed as undersheriff.
Please remember to speak into your microphones.
You're all on okay,
And this sheriff still, Matt Regier, from $17.99 to $18.66. Additional K-9 duties. Some of this is retroactive pay.
Right, the effective date is retroactive, and I put the documentation on there of how I
Yeah.
figured that the change is, you
Okay.
know, what they'll be going to, so.
Joshua Messla,
Melissa?
Eliza.
I believe so.
Additional K-9 duties, retroactive pay.
So is there more than one person that handles the dog then?
I believe we have two.
Because, you know, usually a dog lives with one person.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe open to maybe two, I don't know.
No, I think we may have two dogs now.
Okay.
I'm not 100%. I don't want to speak to that one.
Right.
Listen, no. Good,
Yeah, or it could be the ones that back up. I'm sorry, I don't want to speak to that without checking on it, but they do have, both have their certification and have been serving in that role for some time. So. I think there were, oh,
That's the
I
only
thought there
one
was
I-
another one.
This one?
Oh, you already said Larry, never mind. There were just three.
Okay.
Four, yeah. Sorry. I didn't write down Larry when you said his.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I did get a quick little email from Deidre this morning, and as of 7:30, there are 4 active COVID cases, ages 30s and below. And no changes on, right now, 0 hospitalizations and no changes on the vital statistics confirmed deaths, so.
Didn't bother to say which, don't know what type, whether it's the new type. coming in
She
right
said
now.
the case map was not available this morning on KDHE, so she didn't provide any information about, you know, if we have any of the Delta variant
Okay.
at this time, so. Okay, let's see. In your packet, you had 2 recommendations for appointments for the Mental Health Advisory Committee, and one of them is for, to appoint Rebecca Writing, and the other one is to appoint Lisa Blackmore. And their information was in your packet.
They're both replacing the
They're-
same person.
Yes, and I asked about that.
Okay.
And I was told that in the past, that one person was serving in 2 slots on that board and in 2 separate capacities. But the new CEO wants those separated, so they want one person for each one of those representation slots. So we would need a motion and a vote to approve these appointments to the Mental Health Advisory Committee.
I'm just gonna open up for discussion. Rebecca Writing and Lisa Blackmore, does anybody have any discussion on them? They've been recommended by the CEO or something? Office coordinator, who I see on there, Amber Peterson. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I'd make a motion to appoint both of them to the board, Rebecca Reading and Lisa Blackmore. That'd be my motion.
Second.
Second by Kent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
And the last thing I have
Who's
is,
our appointment to that board?
Me,
Dave? Okay. Have you been lately?
I've been once,
Have you?
that's when I met it.
I didn't know.
Once by Zoom, but it
Yeah. Okay.
didn't meet last year.
Okay.
okay, the last thing that I have on administrative is just a question. You had approved the purchase of the 2 motor graders last week, and so getting ready to go out and seek bids on financing from local banks. But in the information from the cap financing that Bryce had brought back, that one included a balloon payment after 6 years. So my question to you all is, are we gonna finance the full straight amount at a straight 6-year lease purchase, or do you want to put some sort of a balloon payment on that like the other financing had?
Well, I think the reason that CAT does that is because most of the people that do that
Rotate 'em back in.
rotate them back in. Might not be a bad idea. We haven't done that in the past.
It's about what they're gonna be worth, the balloon payment's about what they're gonna be worth at the end.
We've,
Well, that's kind of the way
I mean,
CAT figures
I know it's
it.
an estimate.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Makes the payments cheaper.
I don't know whether our banks would be acceptable to that or not.
I don't know why not.
Why not?
I'm just speaking from what I know.
Right, right.
I haven't told them.
Right. And we have done that before, Ken, on this different type, that we payment and then we trade them off or something.
But, you know, in the past, we've been talking about getting
Yeah.
10 years on them.
Yeah.
If we're still looking at that, well, it doesn't make much sense.
Well, and the only concern, I'll do it either way, however, whatever terms that you want. I just need to know that, you know, so that I can go ahead and get those bids sent out. But the only concern I have with the balloon payments is you've got to remember to put that in your budget.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And that can throw off your budgeting, you know, after that amount of time, so.
The others that I've seen of late, also the discussion always revolves around, and some of the financial institutions comment on it, that the lower rates right now exist so that you're locking those, and so if you really want to lock them for that, for whatever term you want to use. The balloon payment is going to make it lower, you know, obviously, but then you got to mess with that at the end of that term, so.
Good question. We're not gonna need this money till January. Would they bid on it and hold their interest rate till then? I mean, we don't wanna borrow the money today. Something-
Well, it's not gonna hurt for us to have the money,
We could hold it.
Available.
yeah,
Okay.
and then we can pay for the machines when we are
Okay,
ready
well,
to
then,
move forward, so. I mean, I can do it either way, I just didn't want it to be floating out there without a method of payment, because that,
Exactly.
at the end of the year, that could get you all in trouble.
But
So
it's
probably
good.
best to do a 6-year note then.
But it's a good comment, because we did forget a balloon payment in something, I don't remember what it was at the end of the term.
Come back and bid you.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
did.
It didn't
Yeah.
fit
Yeah.
into the
Budget for
budget,
it.
and then we
Yeah.
had to pay it out of the general
Yes.
fund, it was $125,000
Yes,
or
yep.
$150,000,
Yeah,
somewhere in that
Because you don't have the
range.
budget authority to pay it, so you have to.
And then, you could also ask, have them bid in the alternative, I don't know, have you done that?
Yeah.
So that we haven't comparatively, it's kind of a headache.
Then it starts to get to an apples.
She's gonna sigh, you can feel it, it's
Situation.
coming.
We know what she wants now.
No, we can do it either, we can do it that way.
I think,
She says with
I think
contempt.
you pay
That
straight
way.
out 6 years, no balloon payment, and that way, you're not tying the future commission's hands, and you're,
It's a nice
so you pay
clean
an
deal.
extra in, but you'll get that on your rollover.
Would you think there'd be any advantage at all to put it out both ways, either the balloon payment at the end and this way, and see what kind of interest break you get? Just asking.
That's not hard to do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's fine,
I guess
I
just
don't
for
care.
comparison purposes, it would.
Just take another 30 minutes.
Yeah, it'll take some doing when you get the finals back to look at
Yeah.
and see what you got.
Read through them.
You have to also remember that there's what was the total amount of this gonna be?
$754,415.
You've already eliminated a few banks in Marion County because it's over there legally.
Yeah.
So you probably got
Or we
about,
could do them
You
separate.
split them into two, because there's two machines.
Mhm.
yeah, that's what.
So we could
needs to
do
be
374, and then they could do one
Because
or
there's gonna
both.
be, you're eliminating, that way everybody have a shot at it.
Yeah.
I think, I like that idea
Got
because
two notes,
Two leases.
leases, yeah.
that, you know, pretty good hunting. Yeah. I like that.
Should it be 6 years, should it be 10 years, should it be?
I like your 6 years.
That's where it's got a rotation set up on, you know, if
Right, you can still rotate it at 6, even though you had 10.
Yeah, do that.
I'm sorry, muddying
No, you're fine.
up the waters even more.
Gives you 4 years to build a war chest for.
Or you could do somewhere in between, you could do 7.
Yeah.
Or-
Well, I'm just looking at the total.
We have done 7
Yep,
before.
the total dollar, and what that is per
Yeah.
year.
We had that, we talked about that last week, we just figured it out. Do I hear any motions by anybody on what they'd like to do?
I'd make a motion that we do 2 separate requests for leases for 6 years with 0 payout at the end.
Do I hear a second?
I'd like to add an amendment to that though, where you have, did you mean two
Two.
separate
I said two.
loans?
separate
Two
ones.
leases.
Two leases.
Okay, just clarify.
I'll second that.
You'd second that?
Yep.
Okay, I have a motion by Dave Crowfoot, second by Jonah Gearing, to go with 2 leases, 6 years long, 0 payments at the end for 2 motor graders. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. 5-0.
Okay. And is it okay to go ahead and move forward with getting that lined up and paid to the county so that we have it available to spend when it's time?
I have no problem with it.
And it's sometimes, I mean, if the bank wants to close later, that's fine, but,
We're not under the gun to get it done
Yeah.
right away because we don't have the vehicles.
right. Usually I try to give them an anticipated closing date or the date the equipment will be available, and then we go from there.
I don't think I'll have a problem with that.
Okay. Alrighty, that's all I have.
With that, Bryce is up next. Since you said you was done, he's walking in the door right now.
Not
I
to sit
just-
down. Not to sit down.
Yeah, not to sit down. Go ahead. It's okay. What is the commission
okay.
wish that, if we talked about it, that, Bryce, what's your feelings on if when the 2 new ones come in, what will you do with pick your 2 pieces of equipment that you want to turn loose, or 3, whatever you've got, and do something with that. In the day.
Yeah. I mean, based on what I've heard and seeing it online, I think the best thing is try to sell them on Purple Wave. The money they're bringing is crazy right now. It's kind of like used vehicles. You're paying a premium just to get a used vehicle because there's no new vehicles. So, yeah, I think based on the prices, that'd be the way. That's my personal opinion.
You sell some now or wait till December to do it?
Well, I'd like to wait till there at least that's something I did. I heard you guys talking about the financing. When I talked with the CAT guy, he said he would not know a specific or a little bit more detailed time for delivery until those purchase orders were signed. And that he said, you know, if they do fall into January or even February, we could actually move that financing, whatever else, into next year. So just, he said he had no idea until that stuff got turned in and it got put into the system. So, because I'm sure that banks are gonna want the serial numbers and stuff like that off of them, and we won't know that until later. So just something to look at. So it's a shame it's gotta wait that long. But yeah, the best thing to do is probably sell them on Purple Wave, and as soon as we know when they're coming in, we can have them listed fairly quickly.
So the purchase orders should be signed now.
I just sent it to you.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Purchase orders don't have expected
They,
numbers.
no, well, that's what he said, he won't know until he sends them in. Basically, that just says it locks us in. The fact is, we want these and start the process, so.
Somebody
So
else
if our
sent it in
process
today
takes
too.
3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, maybe that stuff might come back.
Mike, like, again, he doesn't know either. It's, they're like everybody else, their equipment's just going nuts right now too, because people can't find it and like that, so. So, okay. First thing is area fuel bids. EPS was read low on all 3 areas, so I'd like to have approval for those. Should have enough copies for everybody.
The recommendation is EPS.
Yes.
One more, falling behind.
A motion to go with prices. Recommendation of EPS low bid at $12,512.
Have a motion on the floor to go with EPS fuel bid at $12,512 even. Do I hear a second? Second by Kent Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I will read the rest of the bids off so that everybody knows who bid. MFA Oil bid at $12,960.84. And also Cooperative Grain and Supply bid at $13,330.56 total. So, EPS is the winner. I vote.
All right, I have a utility permit, 2103 from Preheim Ag to bore a water line under the road on Sunflower. We've talked about it, and I wrote on here that they have to provide a casing for that water to be put in, so recommend approval for that. I've signed it.
2103 Sunflower Road?
No, that's just the permit number.
Okay.
It's on north of 40, between 40th and 50th on Sunflower.
Okay. 50. It's down there.
2103. I'll make a motion to approve.
A motion to approve for this bore permit. Do I hear a second? I'll second it. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. And you do a follow-up checkup, right?
Yep. Have another permit from Evergy. They're going to bore under Jade Road. Basically right south of the city of Hillsborough over to their new substation over there.
Bryce, do they always provide proof of insurance coverage when they do that? I'm just curious.
I guess we could. I mean, it's all addressed in there that they have to have it. I mean, if we
Yeah.
could be specific on every one of them, but.
It's not in this form.
I mean, there's no official stuff in there, it just says they have to have that, but as far as I know, they've never specifically asked for each individual one.
Nice if they provided a certificate just for our protection.
Okay. And we'll make sure to follow up with that.
Motion to approve 2104.
Have a motion by Jonah to approve the Evergy permit on Jade Road, 2104. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Dave Crowfoot. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0.
Crushed concrete update. He even brought in a new crusher, still having troubles with that. They're not following up with it, so now he's got that parked back to his own crusher. He thinks he'll be done tomorrow, if not Wednesday. So, latest I have. Yeah. It's,
There's a crusher sitting at Hillsborough right now, and crushing the Hillsborough concrete
yep.
up.
That's, he originally had that contract and had to give that up to,
Votes Parker, I think, took it.
yep. Yeah, he put in the quote and got that, and then finally said, I can't do it, so I agreed to it. So, yeah. I forgot the information downstairs, but been contacted by the watershed district for the watershed down on 30th, is it 30th, 20th, between Remington and Sunflower. I'm not specific on that. Anyway, back in the 70s, when it was made, there was an agreement made with the county that the watershed district was going to install guardrail on both sides of the road all the way through there to prevent people from driving off into the watershed. Well, that's never been installed in the 50-some years that operation's been in business. So in lieu of going back and putting that guardrail in, which I think it's a dirt road, and would constantly catch debris and stuff like that going across the road, they don't really want to put it in either, not to mention it would be a huge expense. So they actually submitted the paperwork, or submitted the agreement and everything else with the county, along with a map of what's going on. And basically their request was to have the commission come back and say, you know what, we're not going to do this, mainly just to get it off the books. Because right now it's still set out there that says they're supposed to be putting this guardrail in. So,
Have you talked to any farm owner on either side?
well, it's basically the watershed on one side and swampy ground on the other side. That's because right now they don't want the guardrail either, because it'll block movement of implements and stuff like that too. So, and that area floods. I mean, when that thing fills up, it floods clear across the road, and it would be catching debris and everything else too. So, if that was a major, I mean, it would be very similar to what it is like on the causeway up on 260th and Kansas.
Yeah.
Basically guardrail on both sides, and so. But anyway, I'll bring that up to you this next week for you to look at, and then you guys consider it. Or I can get it to you this week and look at it, and then we can make a decision, or can make a decision.
I'm trying to think whose pond that is. Or on 20th, 30th?
I think it's on 20th between Remington and Sunflower. I mean, it's yeah.
The
That's all.
other side is a wetlands declaration anyway, isn't it?
I believe so. Because yeah, there's water on the west side of the road, and there's water on the north side of the road, and yeah, it's coming. Anyway, I'll get the information to you. I printed it out, but I forgot to bring it up. So, like I said, they just want, if we don't need it, let's just get it off the books, and gets rid of liability, I guess, if something happens. So, kind of funny. I don't know how they come across this, if they were cleaning out all their file drawers or something. So, the full depth reclamation on Nighthawk is proceeding very, very well. They should finish back to 1/40th probably later afternoon, early evening tomorrow. Wednesday they're going to start milling from 1/40th across the cross slope. They're going to mill everything to the south that they've done. By Friday they should be done, and then Monday we're going to start the chip seal on that whole area going south, as they start the full depth reclamation going back north. So, proceeding very well. I think Tina sent out, they were having an open house thing for Monday, if you guys were interested. A pretty busy day with all the milling and everything else going on one time, so I don't know how much time will be there, but it is there for your use. Bridge set aside is due this Friday. I haven't heard specifically anything else. I guess I would like to recommend that I turn in number 149. It is on 320th, just east of Wagon Wheel. It has a sufficiency rating of 21. It's a double 10-foot culvert that, according to the blade man, has quite a bit of heavy traffic going across it. I've looked at it. It does have a lot of spalling. It's in the bottom within the bottom 5, I think, in our worst ones. So shouldn't be really expensive just being a double barrel box. Even if we went to a triple barrel box, we're still in reasonably good shape. So if you guys don't have any problem, that's what I would like to go with.
Do I hear any comments from the commission? Is there any good way to come up with a suggestion here? I mean,
For turning one in, or
for turning one in, I mean,
again, you guys got the bridge manual or the bridge inspections. You see what's out there. You know, like we talked about the one at Goldenrod that builds up debris all the time. But the problem with that is you look at the sufficiency rating and it doesn't show that bad. I don't think that's as high as it should be. We've got, you know, we're depending on what we do on 340th, those structures, we will. Based on what we're looking at, we'll get rid of the, with the Eagle Bridge as well as the one on Goldenrod, we won't have any more fracture critical. So that's obviously a huge thing. So again, that's why that you guys have that manual. You want to look at them and come up with something else, great. I need to get going to get that submitted by Friday. So.
well, let me tell you, the way things sometimes has happened in the past, Bryce, is that I don't think there's one of us here that can sit here and take a look at all four bridges and tell which one needs to be the worst. So we'd like for you in your position to bring 4 or 5 to us and tell us why you feel that way sometime on it. If it goes again, I mean, that's just my opinion.
Okay.
Is we got to trust you to make some decisions here.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and not just because it's in my area or it's in Jonah's area or wherever.
Sure.
Either the fracture critical becomes a big part of it, or
Well, like I said,
something.
we'll be done with those now, so that's
Okay.
a big thing. But this is, like I said, other than the 340th up there is way down at the bottom, and according to the objective rating, should be replaced.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, I remember looking at it, it was like, man, it's going to take a lot to fix this. Well, then now I see the report, now you know why. So okay, yeah, like I said, it's like you throw a dart, and that's the one we want to go with because it's every one of them has pros and cons as to replace and whatever else.
I mean, not only the bridge structure, but is it important to build a bridge in this area or wherever it's at?
Right.
What's the importance of it too?
Yeah, well, this one here I know does flood a lot when they get the rains up there, so that's something we'll look at to actually increase the size or the amount of cover over the road, whatever the case may be. But structurally, it's cost prohibitive to not try to fix it and just replace it.
Because sometimes when you build a road out in the middle of a dirt road area, people wonder, well, what good's a bridge when it's wet? So
Sure. Well, and one of the bridges that is really bad and should be replaced too is the one we've talked about on 310th and or north of 310th on Wagon Wheel, the stone slab one, which we basically said we weren't going to do. So
center there.
north of center, yeah. Lovers Lane or whatever they call it up there. So
Yeah.
anyway, so
There's a good example when there's
Yeah.
I mean,
And this-
people, there's
this one's
no
also
reason
on
for that
Wagon
one to be
Wheel?
rebuilt.
well, like I said, no reason to
340.
get rebuilt other than the historical significance
Yeah.
of it. But what is historical significance of it? But, so, other than that, I think that's it. Unless you guys have anything else. No.
Any rebuilds going
Which reminds me, we are starting on 350th today on that Quail Creek. We got some high pressure gas lines, and I do have to commend the guys out there. We had signs showing a fiber optic phone line out there that was not picked up on the dig safe. We did call in Friday, or it was a Thursday afternoon, early Friday morning, and they were glad we called because there was a fiber optic line out there that was marked. So that communication goes back and forth really nice when you have those contacts. And so think we'll probably get done tomorrow and start hauling rock on Wednesday to get that done. And Also going to be rebuilding 160th west of Sunflower over to the gentleman that's building a new house over there. We talked about the paying for the rock and stuff like that to get it rebuilt, so getting that done, so. Alrighty?
I know there's a shed out there. Has he started on the house yet?
Well, it's a good question. He, from what I understand, he is gonna live in the shed till the house gets built. He said they were supposed to be starting on the house in February, and,
Last February,
this last February, yeah. So he's like everybody else, when you're counting on somebody else to be
Yeah.
there, and so,
Talking about 160.
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Okay.
I just drove-
all right? Huh?
I just drove that road.
Yeah, we're just rebuilding it past his house, because the rest of those rock outcroppings on the west end, those are pretty vicious.
Pretty nice little hills and valleys over
I know you was talking about doing something with blacktop or patching or something, blade patching maybe?
We were gonna start blade patching, we've got a few things to get done, hopefully this week. If the weather holds out, we're gonna start at Remington, come down that way, and then proceed with the others. So we can get our chip sealing done.
Oh, start on Remington?
Yeah.
Do that one first?
Yep.
Okay. There's just one spot on Indigo that's between 100 and 110th that's starting to, on the,
Well,
on the east lanes.
we'll probably be, we'll probably look at that to try to get to it, so, yeah.
On the budget talk, we did kick around maybe splitting Indigo up.
Good?
You know, because the south half is probably in more dire need than the north. If that would allow some more use of the funds to be put towards another road that's,
I think that'd be wise.
Yeah. Definitely understanding, so.
Is there gonna be some blade patching done then on 290 on Lincolnville Road?
Yes. That's our plan, and it's like everything else, you know, it's weather dependent what happens. I mean, this is, I wanted blade patching done before now, but trying to get all this rock and stuff all work. You know, still hurting on truck drivers, so. Anyway,
last time I was down 120th, it was pretty.
yep.
so
120th, 150th. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cans up.
you turn the corner at Indigo and go to Gossel.
Yep. So, all right. Anything else, give me a call or text or whatever.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Bryce. Okay, let's see here. What else do we have next year? Jean Bateman.
Fine. Last 2 weeks, she got crossed off.
She's not here.
I can go see if she's ready to come over.
We're a little early. That's all right.
Sorry. We need to stay here, because we got Brad on the schedule, so you know when that's gonna be.
4:30, you think?
Hell
Be
yeah.
done by 4:30?
5 o'clock, maybe
5?
6.
You honestly could, if you want to do that, but no, I've got this plan. After just several different
There's a
weeks to
plan.
spread it out.
It's nice to come to
It should be done by 150, you're giving it, she's on at 45.
We
He's
better-
optimistic.
We better be taking advantage of every minute we get out of the other two.
She's coming.
good.
Well, Brad, I really appreciate you
Yeah,
sending
pretty
me,
nice
because
break.
they
You'll bring
bypassed
the
me.
game
That's the new state.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yes,
I'm kinda
it
used
is
to
not a
it.
bad
Yeah.
seat, I mean, even the
Really?
one way up high,
Well, how that did.
and the
Should,
chairs.
the flagpole should
wider
be getting
than these.
repaired today.
Yeah, my ass, well,
Is it?
Should be
Yeah, and
this
you-
afternoon.
you could pass in front when I sit in the chair.
Well,
You know, like,
figure it out.
interest, you gotta stand up.
A company from Wichita's coming in, the city of Marion is
No.
letting us use their bucket truck today.
There can't be more than two.
Your knees are.
Talked about the flagpole, then you made Brad laugh.
Her picture was great.
Janine, I'm gonna quiet these people down, so you've got the floor.
Well, I was gonna say, you guys are having so much fun, I just said, listen. And used to you guys being here late, so.
There's a single comment that's telling.
And I can't say nothing, I said, Janine, go ahead.
Thank you for no comment. Okay, I do have the quarterly reports ready for you guys. At the close of business on June 30th, we showed 24,548,605.09, and without the ARPA funds, it'd be 24,546,595.49. And then the next report is just how we have the funds held. And how we have them secured. And the interest, which is not to be bragged about, but I've always turned in a chart, so you have that.
At least it has to dip below the line.
Yeah, at least they aren't charging us to hold the money. And then have the vehicle operating report, and this is the quarter where we pay the funds into county general, the remaining funds in the operating fund, and that was 65,211.76.
Up there in the operating fund budget, total state collections, that's nothing to do with us, correct?
That's what we collect for the
Oh,
state.
that's what we collected. in
That's
our
what we
county.
collected for the state and turned into the state.
Okay. And Marion County's tax collections was 588,567, that's property tax.
That's property tax.
Okay.
So how are we doing for the year? 80%, 90%, or collected, or 40%?
On the ad valorem tax, the real estate tax,
Yeah.
we're at 98%. But that, I did some figuring, and that still leaves 561,804.
You never get the other 2%.
Yeah, well, in a perfect world, which we don't live in.
Yeah.
And then Friday, we sent out the neighborhood revitalization checks. And I think there was 96 of them, and that amounted to 108,306.23. So people might be smiling at you right now if you find the people that have gotten a check from us, so.
I'm gonna hold you up just a second there, talking about taxes. I was contacted by a concerned citizen in Peabody about when we was gonna hold the next tax sale. And I couldn't remember just exactly where we're at with that. Can you give me some light on a tax sale when we're?
Well, the last time you bid that out with an attorney, you sought attorneys to do the tax sale. You have not given any instructions to your most recent tax sale attorney whether you're going to keep going, whether you're going to hold another sale, what the board wants to do. So, as of right now,
I'm
it's
sure
kind of
we
in
have
your
enough-
court.
We have enough funds on
Is it true?
outstanding that we could have one, so
How many properties?
I would have to run a report.
Okay, I was gonna say, wouldn't it make sense to get like a triggered amount of properties, so that makes it well worth it to get money invested? So if you hit 50 properties, then it's time to go.
Yeah, I agree somewhere it needs to be, but I didn't know what we've done. That's why I'm just bringing it up, because to this one person, this property is pretty important that they want to see on a tax sale. But I said we don't, we just don't do that. We wait till we have
Well, and you might remember the last time that Susan was in here, she recommended that maybe you just start doing them every year or
I
at
would-
most every 2 years.
I would
because-
think, starting December 3rd of every year, we ought to just start another one.
Because it gets too cumbersome if you have too many properties
I would
on
echo
them.
that too. The other thing that you get, you'll start getting more phone calls periodically depending upon the economics of things
Mhm.
from people just like the one with you going, you mean I have to wait 3 more years to get a shot at this? You know, if we do a rotation on a 5-year, which is what some counties used to do, and then Sedgwick County went to 3, and there's still a lot of complaints in a lot of these counties about not seeing it more regularly than that.
But I would think if we'd start one in December and then the next year start another one in
Yeah.
December. Of course, we'd have several going at the time, at one time, but we aren't doing anyone a service by letting them get
Drift.
5 years behind on their taxes.
Would you just set a date, you know, like every, say the first Thursday in October, we have a tax sale every year?
It may not work that well because you have to, you have to do, you have to do service to all, you know,
Yeah,
you have to
but
do all the
Takes-
legal service.
Takes how many months just to put it together?
Yeah, it's
3 or
something-
4
It
times you
depends
do
on
the
how
title
many
work.
properties.
Yeah.
Put
Yeah.
I
service,
mean, you got
title
on a
work.
regular rotation.
But you said you start.
I'd say starting and don't worry about the ending. Cause
There's a lot of factors that go
The
into when the
factors
date
that-
can be.
Yeah, in terms of
Start
service.
the process every 1st of December.
So when would you have the tax sale then?
well, whenever it's completed.
That's set according to how the pleadings are done, and what the service is, and that sort of thing. So I would agree, you don't worry about the back end. But what time each year you look at each of them and to make the determination. I think Tina's right. It gets really cumbersome if you sit and wait too long.
Right.
You get way too many properties, and it's actually worse.
What is more than reasonable long? Like, have you ever seen one go for a year? If, like you said, you start
I'd
on
say
December.
a year and a half.
At most, usually.
Yeah.
Got redemption periods and stuff also that kind of count in back into that as well.
So if you start the process on December 1st, by the time you actually have the sale, it's gonna be
December.
Next December sometime.
Maybe
But
September.
I
Yeah,
would
like
think each
9
one you
months.
had to get shorter because
Yeah.
you wouldn't have as many properties.
Now, Janine, you said December 3rd, right?
Mhm.
Why December 3rd?
Because taxes are out, the redemptions are all done, the end of year is all figured, and
Okay.
Gives you some time to do it.
That would be the trigger date
that's,
that you would recommend.
that's from my point of
Okay,
view.
so can we do a policy
That's
to
good for
do
your
that
office.
every year?
Yeah,
December
December
3rd is a
3rd.
trigger date, identify the properties, proceed with the tax sale from that point.
Makes it a lot easier for you to answer a constituent as well.
And it all sounds well till you see the total bill that we receive for doing
Yeah.
a tax sale.
Well, there's.
Yeah, it's,
And if we're gonna start one this December 3rd, and you don't have it by the next December 3rd, you start the second one, and you give that list to that attorney, there's gonna be another charge on the same property again. So, I'm just, it's not easy to run these things and be conscious of it and smart about it.
well, maybe you want to do it every other year.
Well, I'm not saying that either, I'm just saying,
You know.
if we got it down to where there was a fewer number each year and not a repeat going back to that would be great. The other thing that I'm gonna ask two of you elected people sitting here is there any rules that we have to live by, or that we set a policy for you to receive money on when John Doe comes in and pays taxes on property A, but property A is registered under Jim Bean and Sourdough Whiskey. So what I'm saying is, can somebody else pay money on a property
That's not theirs.
that's not theirs?
It's a Good Samaritan Act. It gives them no lien.
Right.
And Sourdough Whiskey is dead on that owns the property. That's what's going on in some of our properties in Peabody right now, because I just talked to the police chief this morning down there, and he's trying to serve papers on some of them, and
Little family.
they're gone. The actual registered owner is gone, passed away, deceased. So,
Somebody's living there paying the taxes.
and somebody's living there paying the taxes, yes, and being a pain in the rear. And so this concerned citizen is chasing one that, you know, that's,
High profile smoker.
well, they somehow they got in with the person that owned it at one time, and that's how they moved in there. But I'm just wondering where
They have
is
no
our...
color of title. That's fixable. I've run into that before. That's, again, you get into some expense in fixing those though. Because we don't necessarily want to be the intervening party, but the governmental entity can do so if we have notice that the owner's deceased and there's been no intestate succession or anything else that's ever been done. We can file it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not crazy about doing that because
I was gonna say, it'd have to be a civil type.
it is,
Yeah.
and we end up with the expense up front. And in certain instances, it's difficult for me to get a judge to order the lien for us doing that because we're cleaning it up for the governmental benefit to make sure that the title is correct in the right name. There's got to be an heir, all the way back to Adam. So, but it can be a process for us to do that.
And so, yeah, that person went and come in here to the county last week and pulled a tax deal up in a lot of departments, and it's got 16, 17, 18, and 19 taxes on it that's behind. Plus,
Are
the
they
city...
just paying 1 year?
Well, it didn't even sound like that, they're paying that. So with 16 to 19, that's already 16, 17, 18, and 19, that's 4 years.
Right.
So that one should be coming up on the
Mhm.
list somehow. So I'm
Should've
just,
came up last time.
Yeah, should've came up last time, right?
well, it should have, but there's somebody coming in paying $50 a month and or something like that.
But they're
so-
not paying the full amount.
No, well, I don't think so. I just heard this from the landowner that's pursuing this, and
They just make
when
an
he
attempt
mentioned
to-
the name from Peabody, they seemed like some people in this courthouse didn't say, oh yeah, that person. So I'm just thinking, and then when the police chief talked to me this morning, he said, well, I have that in about 5 different places in Peabody, Randy. And so he mentioned them, and I know why. I mean, there either hasn't been formal pass-through of name and it's still in the person that's deceased.
If we can get a particular one and get the facts on it, I can go ahead and tell you what your options are, and generally, to some reasonable extent, what you may have to invest to deal with them. And if we've got multiples, then you just have to make the decision as to whether it's worthwhile.
Or wait till the taxes.
Right. And I can give you your options on that. It's just we expense some
That's just in
resources.
one
So
note.
And what's the
That's the issue, because so
benefit?
many tax sales, our net is hardly anything, and
Well,
sometimes we've lost money.
We always lose. I don't think we've ever made.
The phenomena seems to have shifted a little bit in recent times, though.
It's gotten closer, but
Yeah, because
I mean, you're only-
land is more,
you're only
people are willing to bid.
Your only ace in the hand is that you hope to get it back on the tax roll.
Yeah.
you hope you get a person in that's gonna pay the
Yeah,
tax.
and that doesn't always happen either.
When I pulled this one up and put this piece of paper this guy had, it showed like $1,000 a city had put against this property for mowing. Well, they're gonna be out of that
Yeah,
too.
that's gonna get paid.
And it is being mowed now, but anyway, and this is just in one little town of Peabody, and I don't know how many other towns it's going on like that.
Every county has the same issues.
Yeah. So,
It's not limited just to us.
So if you make attempt to pay property taxes, we can't go to the sheriff's sale? Make it,
If they're paying an escrow and they're
but they never
paying
get,
all the time,
they never get complete though.
well, we're working to the point when they get a year paid, now they have to get a year paid in a certain amount of time.
Mhm.
But,
How many years can you be behind?
huh,
3.
that's what we need to clean up and
Establish.
get going, so.
We
The
don't have.
norm has been 5 in a lot of counties for a
So
long
you
time.
can be 5 years behind?
Yeah.
If you're making monthly
And then-
payments
and
all
then
the time,
Historically, you could pay the oldest year,
And
just
keep it off the
rolling.
sale.
yeah.
which is also being addressed in a lot of counties.
Well, and people do that, a lot of people do that, just for cash flow purposes, yes.
So,
and Randy,
yeah,
can
yeah, go
I
ahead.
interrupt?
Yeah.
once you've got a property in a tax sale, if you start another tax foreclosure sale, that property won't be in it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say
Okay.
earlier.
Yeah, because you
Okay.
limit down to new
Okay.
You
properties.
shouldn't necessarily do
Okay, well, I wanna make sure because
that. Yeah.
the time we go through all of the legal fees, we've got a lot of money wrapped up in just to get them to the sale.
Mhm.
And that's crazy sometimes, what we got wrapped up in. Well, that's, I just wanted to talk about it, so we never put it on the agenda, and I never thought of it till this person's really been after me and working on me a little bit here the last few weeks, so I thought, well, this sounds like a good time. But you said the county could do something, I mean, is there a state law that we have to abide by? Or a federal law?
There's a number of them, but I mean, there is an ability for us to intervene in certain circumstances because we do have standing as the taxing entity. I've been through that repeatedly in a number of instances where whether it was a city on a distressed property in town or it was a county looking to deal with the property that had some particular need for us to get title cleared and show it where we were getting an easement, for example, we needed to be able to be granted that easement. We can also do it just in the interest of clearing the title on a piece of property. So it's just that initially I can't guarantee you that you're going to reclaim those calls.
Well, right, I mean, that's just something we have to figure
Well,
out.
couldn't you do it on a hazard?
Yes,
to-
done it a number of different ways.
Mhm.
Depends on it's case by case as to which way we go about
Mhm.
establishing our standing, but it is doable. Like this one, like I said, I'd have to know the property and the basic history, and I could probably tell you this is what you can and cannot do with it. And then we'd have to make that decision. But unfortunately, I think you're going to find, like you said, there's a number of those.
Could we take Randy's case as a test,
Mhm.
see what?
And look at it, sure.
But then what does that open you up to on precedent?
That's
We don't-
it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, my point being, you're not making any decisions. We could try to do this one, and I could go ahead and give you those options so you can see, this is how this could work. And then you have to make some decisions, and Tina's point's well taken, because you do it for one, and then we get another one, and another one, and another one, and we will.
Well, this is something we need to do for the county, because the people that use these houses, that's where our drug problems are coming from. And if we take away their roof, they'll have to move to some other county. That's
Army.
Well, it also affects their neighbors too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just cleans up the neighborhood and the county both.
That's the reason why this one's being brought up, is because the
Well,
neighbors
all that way.
and then the dogs that's coming, living in this place is,
Well, you gotta have at
It
least
is.
3 or 4 dogs.
so anyway, I got bit the other night, so that's why this person's very
I
upset.
know which one you're talking about.
But that would make road crash life a lot easier.
But when you said the county, but 3 or 4 years is standard, or we cannot, the county cannot say, in Marion County, if you're behind 3 years, it will go to a tax sale. We
Okay,
cannot.
3 delinquent years on property that's owned and lived in, 2 years if it's uninhabited, and 1 year if it's vacant.
Right, abandoned. I always call it abandoned, but you keep
Yeah.
it vacant. So you have that's your minimum.
Mhm.
And some counties for over the years just established this period of time without question as to how long they wanted it to go, and that 5-year rotation was very common. But that's a problem, and it's become an ever-increasing problem over the years with people feeling that that's just too long, and it probably is. So can you establish shorter timeframes? Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to see the December 3rd trigger for all available qualified properties to get rolling every year.
3 years, probably.
Whatever's precedent.
We've had one December 3rd go by already, so, I mean, this tax sale was in December, but that tax sale went on for a year before that too, so, or more. So you passed it on already,
Would we have to pass that by resolution?
I would think.
Yes.
That would give Susan some guidelines.
Yeah.
I think that'd be good,
Sam.
especially with the new treasurer coming.
Well, and then
Yeah.
you'd wanna determine whether you're gonna continue, because the last time you bid out the attorney on that. So whether you're gonna, rebid that out and have attorney's bid on it, or whether you wanna keep going with the same attorney.
The county attorney can't.
Counties don't do that as part of their job description.
Okay.
It's not, it's an administrative function, and so normally that's contractually, it can be done by the county councilor, but it can also be done by another attorney, which is certainly fine. Those things are,
And there are firms that do it
Yeah.
too.
I know an attorney in Wichita that does not only the city of Wichita, that's all it does, pretty much.
yeah, pretty much his whole job, yeah.
And usually, sometimes they might cost you more, but at least they're more efficient. They know what they're doing, so they roll through it.
Susan's done it quite a bit too, so.
Mhm.
Susan's had plenty of experience. Yeah, that goes.
So, but yeah, if you want to establish something, we certainly can put something in place.
Could you bring that back to us next week?
Yeah, I could talk to Janine in terms of, she
Yeah.
knows what dates she wants to use,
Right,
and she and I
yeah.
can
Give
talk
us a
about those
proposal.
rotations.
Get us something so we can get that ball locked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the treasurer's choice on dates.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well,
then-
it's a good logical time frame to do that year end, so we know going into the next year what you're doing.
Well, you've got all your pieces in play.
That's right.
Could you also do a summary of what you were just explaining about the timeline of when they come up, there's the abandonment, the
Yeah.
3-year,
Yeah,
living
sure.
it? So we had kind of have a simple.
Yeah, with the statutory
reference.
guidance there.
Do we wanna know how many people is it 4 or 5 years making payments to, and
That's, I think, what she'll determine in December.
Do you want to try to pursue one of these as an example in terms of those that, where you might want governmental intervention, or would you like to wait on that?
I'd like to move ahead on the
Send a name and get some
Okay.
history.
Yep.
I can at least work with you and see which one that is.
We can see where we are.
I'll go down here to the office here just after the meeting, and I'll provide you some backup paperwork. I know which one it is, please.
Okay, that'll work for you.
Okay, that made it interesting.
She's gonna pass it along.
Yeah. Susan.
No, I got, what, 74, 75 days.
Oh, you counted them, huh?
Well,
She
people
doesn't,
kept
she doesn't
asking
know if
me.
it's 74 or 75, she's not keeping that good a track.
Well, what else do you have, Janine?
That's all, unless you have something.
Anybody have anything else?
Thanks for all that
Thank you.
information. Yeah, good information.
That made it more interesting for
Yes.
me too,
Yeah.
because I never know what to bring in.
Yeah. Aging.
Hi, Gail.
Good afternoon. Melissa, good morning. Okay, well, this past quarter, I haven't had as many people coming in for pre-retirement, but here in August, I always do kind of a pre-retirement class, and then I usually get everybody who's getting ready to do that, and then they come see me throughout the year. So we'll do that in August, and that's in Hillsborough, because it's kind of a central location. Commodities, just wanted to make you aware that we had 2 groups that helped us with commodities here this summer. The Marion 4-H group, they came and helped us, and then the Marion volleyball team came and helped us. And then Sharon and Marcy also have come and helped us in the morning when we've distributed commodities. Right now, I'm working with Renee Reedy, the K-State Extension Agent out of Dickinson County. She's offering this Stay Strong, Stay Healthy. And I'm taking the class, and then the idea is after the class is over, in order to help people to continue to do it, then I will offer it at Marion Senior Center for those who took the class, so they can kind of keep up with it. We got 40 farmer market checks this summer, and we've given all of them out except 3. Actually, they'd only sent me 35, and then they saw I was getting low, and so they sent me the extra 5. So the little bit of an issue with that is just that we don't have a lot of people who grow vegetables participating in this program, but they can use them throughout the state of Kansas at any farmer's market. The Peabody Senior Center unfortunately got flooded again, 1 year and 1 day. Or is it 2 years?
2 years.
2 years and 1 day. They got it, I think, cleaned out, and they had somebody come and shampoo it or whatever. And then they asked for some mill levy money this month because they needed to run their air conditioner for like about a week in order to get the humidity. So we helped them out with that. The big issue that I came to about a month ago was about the agreement with the commodities, and I think we've pretty much sorted all of that out.
Good.
Pilsen and Burns will be under the county. And then the others have all done their own little contracts, and the whole issue about, you know, if the items get stolen, that's kind of subsided a little bit, but, I mean, I guess I just don't foresee that ever happening, but who knows, you never know, so. The senior centers, senior citizens of Marion County, we met at the Peabody Senior Center 2 weeks ago, so we're all well, so. And then we're gonna have Jim Hoy, who's going to be our speaker at the annual meeting, which will be here in Marion on October 21st. So, been busy with trips. I've been taking one gentleman every once in a while to Newton, and then just a couple others here and there, so.
I'd just like to tell you, the other morning on your commodities, there's quite a group of people over there. I saw some retired people there too, laying the flats out, plus looked like you had 12 to 15, maybe 20 people around there waiting for the truck to come in, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell them all. I don't know how we thank them all for
Yeah,
helping you.
I know. But, yeah, so it went well. We had, I don't know, I think we had about 15 to 20 volleyball girls, but once we kind of got it all figured out, how to do it, then they did really well, and
Cool.
we told them it was their weightlifting for the morning, and they seemed to handle it okay.
You have to quit talking, huh?
Right, and actually, we were done about 8:15. I said, this is the fastest we've ever done it, so.
I was there going by early, and there was quite a bunch of them there
Yeah.
early. And I was amazed to see that, so it was good.
Yeah, so that's all I have, unless you have any other questions.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
The last but not least, Board, County Councilor Brad Jans, with legal matters.
Found that as I've gone through probably about 18 months worth of activity, looking at different small and large items, many of which are either complete or were things that probably needed a short form report back, kind of drafted up a fairly lengthy summary of all those, but really need to get I'm going to call it a program of work put together so that all of these are on a timeline and a schedule, because some of this stuff we haven't touched. So that's why I wanted it over several days, because I'm not going to sit here and we can be here for 3 hours. I kind of wanted to start with that. We really need another, I can tell you right now, another board. Probably is 2 with what I have. But if we start with that list, and actually it bleeds into that one, unfortunately, I'd love to say that's not mine, but part of that I have to do some things on as well. I'd kind of like to run that today and see what the thoughts are, the expectations are, so that I can put those into a schedule and a time frame. And they include things like we just talked about again today. There's an awful lot of that out there that needs attention and does not come up in our regular meetings. It isn't something that Tina gets confronted with, thank goodness, on a regular basis. But from the various departments, several more departments need to be added to that, the different things that they have going. Some of them which require some policies that we don't have in place, that probably should have in place, to be able to deal with some things that are coming up more regularly as I see a pattern after a year or 2. So my thought was if we could run back over that today just to refresh everyone on that and give me a little bit of guidance on some things as to what you'd like to see and do and how we follow up on those, then I can add that to the one I've already kind of roughed out. I'll talk to Tina about it during probably the course of the week, any other department heads as well, to make sure I'm not leaving anything out and get a comprehensive, like I said, I'm going to call it a program of work, because it's easier if I have all of that, so we have some kind of a set of check boxes and some time frames to work from. Some of it may be things you're going, we don't want to touch that right now. Come back to us in 6 months with that one. And I kind of wanted to wait till you were through the lion's share of the budget before I did that, but felt like it was kind of time to do that. Otherwise, this stuff languishes. And from my own experience, it languishes.
I think you have a very good idea, Brad, to do that. But there is one question that is every week that you come that I know that we'd all like to hear something on, and that's, is the wind farm deal money,
Forthcoming?
Forthcoming?
I assume, I can call this afternoon after we leave again and make sure.
I don't know if there's, here we are, 7th month now, and I don't know, when I stated it was in the mail.
Don't say it.
Don't say it. Don't say it?
Don't say it.
So, it's been 2 months since then, or 3, or maybe 4, I don't know.
Well, I put that far, but yeah.
But anyway, something has to give with these guys, one way or the other. I don't know what the board's willing to do. I think we're all willing to want to hear something. And I don't know. That's just my 2 cents worth, board.
I feel the same way, I mean.
Well, on that one, I've got Jeff's cell phone number, assuming he's in. I'll just call him and ask for firm commitment on what day we're gonna receive the check. And I'll just email you.
Okay.
Do we need to buy an airline ticket and send somebody there to talk to them face to face? Sometimes you have to do it to
I
pay
got
bills.
a Louisville in my locker.
Well, they'll just show up. They usually write you a check then.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you, Dave. It's just, that's the way sometimes you have to do things.
Well, we have to do in business,
Yeah.
The guy's got it, it's on his desk, he just forgot to mail it.
And if they've agreed to do something, I'd like to see them do it. And before we get criticized anymore.
Sure.
Brad needs to call him every Friday so he can report to us on Monday.
Well, we tried that for a while, that didn't
Why don't
work.
I'll just call him today and make it a point, because we're gonna get done early.
We can give him our FedEx number too to mail the check. That's a whole
Actually, he's
other-
in Kansas City. If he had access to it, I can go get it.
Commissioner Dave Mueller, I'm not stepping on your toes by any means, am I?
Nope.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that you're on board with it or something.
It's just make sure all the legal work's done first before you ask for it.
Yeah.
Because we found that 3 times now.
Yeah.
The legal work wasn't done.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, moving ahead with the list here. Does anybody have the right way to start on this? Or the
I
left
probably,
way?
my thought was just run down the left-hand dry
Okay.
erase board. Because on road and bridge, for example, the private road work, I think everybody kind of remembers what we discussed there. We still have, and again, that's a perfect example, there's still some things that keep coming up in terms of what people want to do and how they want to do it. And we've addressed several things with policy statements, but not each and every element of it, and whether we want to do a comprehensive kind of a policy on that. And it's even hard to make that happen because you just don't anticipate everything that could possibly happen. But, we can try to do something that generally covers the primary things we've dealt with, and then the catch-all at the end, that case by case they come to you for approval before anything is done, which is supposed to be the case anyway.
Have you looked at any policies that other counties?
Yeah, and again, each county's a little different in terms of what they do, and yes, first thing you do is start calling some of these others that are more rural like we are. I'll be candid, a lot of them don't have anything.
Well, and I'll say I was probably one of I was the person that brought this up was the most concerned about it because of some of the issues that were happening. But in that time, I've come to find out there are literally hundreds of people that are doing work on their roads, and
have
whether it
for-
be just be patching little potholes, or whether it be actually doing some work, but doing a fine job of it. They're assisting the county, and I've like I said, I've kind of evolved my position on it, that maybe
Some of
you
those,
don't want to open a can of worms.
Sometimes things are.
some of those out in our area have been doing it
Yes.
quietly for several
Yes.
generations.
Yes.
And I found out in talking to a couple of them that
Yes.
it wasn't like they were insulted, it was almost like, oh, geez,
Yeah,
did we do it bad?
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm just asking you what we've always just done it because nobody else is going to.
Yeah.
And we don't expect at this point that the county's gonna get to it,
Yeah.
so we just do it.
so I readily admit my position's evolved since then.
Yeah.
I mean,
People,
there has to be something for people that tear up the roads. But where, how do you, I'm puzzled,
We
I
had
don't know
one.
how to proceed to.
And on the other side of it, we get some that do some things that are a hazard.
Yes.
And we're
yes.
gonna get somebody hurt at some
Yes.
point, motorcycle,
Right.
tractor even.
Well-
You've got different stuff laying out there that shouldn't
Yeah.
be there.
So is there a way of doing a policy crafting? for
It's
that terrible thing?
all things to all people probably will never make it perfect, but we can make an attempt. I can try to put,
Not banning it, but if you do work to the road and it creates a hazardous situation.
what I'm looking to do is show some due diligence that we recognize it occurs and that we're trying to monitor that.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't appear that we were negligent. Should
Correct.
there ever be an instance where, as we are often confronted with, someone decides to file an action against us? That's my biggest concern.
I like the word monitor rather than prohibit.
Right.
That's,
And that's where I was headed too, and that was part of the reason. It's handy to know some of these folks that you know who've done it for years. You've seen them. I grew up seeing some of them do it. And you call and ask them, so how long have you been doing this? Well, shoot, when your dad was around, we used to get together. And I know. And I know some of these people do it's a better job than we probably would have time for.
There's some farmers out there that do a fabulous job of taking care of the area for
Yeah,
us.
and they do it because that's survival for them.
Yes.
And if they do it quickly enough, it's not a big job. If they let it wait and find out that the county can't get to it,
Yeah.
it becomes a huge mess. And so they're kind of like, I'm just used to doing it, and we try to minimize the cost by getting to it quickly.
About like mowing the ditches and the weeds
Yep.
and stuff. It's just some of the people that do that out there and their farms look so nice. And then the next one, they raise a good
Well,
crop.
I mean, I've even seen some people put a drain pipe in the field entrance.
Yep.
Field entrance collapsed or something. And they're going in and out of there all the time. They got a big plastic, whatever, and they just do
Yeah,
it.
I've heard that example given to me several times, that we didn't know when that would ever get in. We had to get in there, so we just did it. And again, if they do it correctly, we'll never hear another word about it. It's the ones that don't, or mean well but don't quite do it right, that we have
I
to worry
mean,
about.
I'd rather see a culvert like that than the ones that are all plugged up, not doing any good anyway.
So, yeah, the first and second one, well, and then those cattle guards, I mean, we've got that going on, and I've done the same thing there. Driven out and looked at a couple of them. Bryce asked me about those, and what do we do, and how do we institutionalize that? Because he doesn't know quite what to say. In some cases, he's been, again, asked by people who are being conscientious, how about this? And we're crossing your ditch, and we're doing this and that. And then the areas where we've got cattle crossings, that's not on there, but probably needs to be. He's asked me about that one. And again, it's part of this, we run into it often enough that it's not just a one-off, but how much of it you want to at least have some kind of lip service given to in terms of a policy or something.
It's not just cattle crossings. I mean, cattle are coming down the roads.
Yeah.
The whole herd for
Yep.
5 miles, whatever, 6 miles. They go by my place.
It was very common when
I
we had
just
the
chase them over
dairies.
the neighbor.
That's all 5 of those up there has been handled by coming to the commission.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we've handled it, and some of them gets brought to here, some of them don't. And so.
And we can fix it as simply as, which to your point, it's a policy that says that's what's supposed to happen, and we monitor those so that at least if someone doesn't, we have the ability to say, but you had a duty to do so.
But I will say on cattle guards, after seeing those across the road, and we're in our area down there, there is none built any better than those were installed, in my
Oh, yeah.
personal opinion.
Yeah.
They was professionally built and looked very nice, but yet there's all kinds of things that the people want to drive cattle from. You was talking about loose ones, weren't you, I think?
No, I'm talking about taking the cows home for the winter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cattle drives,
They
we
just
have
brought
cattle
them down
drives
there.
out in our area, because we have so many huge pastures.
Okay, but down there, that's happened down there where the road went in. Well, it was okay for the people that own the ground on both sides for them to do that, but in the long run, there's gonna be some people that's hurt by it, by us putting those in, because they won't be able to drive their cattle across that area and go to their another area. So that's really infringed upon them, and we didn't have none of that information when we was sitting here and made the
Yeah.
decisions to do that. And then when they're in already, then I'm starting to get phone calls, like, then I think, gosh, what did I do?
And that's what I run into, and when Bryce and I talk about it, he doesn't have time to go out there and do that survey of everything everywhere. And I'm doing it with partial knowledge, so.
Yeah.
You know.
We make a recovery, where's the cost going on?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
When it comes to this stuff,
If you
mostly
can do
there's so
it.
many unique.
Well, no, if you're gonna drive your
Everything's
cows, you wanna
unique.
drive them down
Case by
road.
case.
I know, but
So-
You would own those
you
coverings.
gotta get them to do that. though.
If they can come into us, that's a win-win.
To get around straight
I
out,
think.
they can't.
That way we know it's
You drove cattle.
being done, they're gonna be done, and the monitor.
The simplest thing I can do is a comprehensive one that shows it as a monitoring requirement.
Yeah.
And that they have a duty to report when they're gonna do this. And then try to, it would be on our website, so people, in theory, have notice, just like they do of traffic laws, and would have a duty to come in, and if they don't, the liability doesn't necessarily rest with
Gotta get
us.
the first one to go, then you gotta leave.
Keep it moving here, planning and zoning.
Yep, same kinds of things, we've talked about that, we had Sharon in here, and again, everything else crowds that out, and that's why it's been months since we last talked about that. The feedlots, the solar kinds of things, she needs some guidance with some of those things as well. And I've done some of the research on the regulation of the feedlots, some of the other solar issues, those kinds of things, just to get us started. But it's a life unto itself in terms of us sitting down and working through that regulatorily.
Now, my understanding is they're meeting Thursday and they made good progress on both of those. So
Okay.
they will be bringing us,
Oh, good,
but they've been making good progress.
good. Okay.
And I just didn't want to let them drop off.
No.
So,
No, it's
Absolutely.
it's on the agenda for this week.
yep.
Okay.
Lake in general, I guess Isaac, I need to have him kind of give the laundry list, but I get periodic calls about different kinds of things more than once. And we've had someone come in about the docks, and we don't have a good regulatory outline for that whole process at all. And what we need to do there, trailers, that's become a huge issue out there at times. And I get phone calls from people who live out there asking, what do you guys have in place? Nothing, other than the general planning and zoning, regulatory kinds of things, but that doesn't cover a lot of these situations. And trailers can be everything from those that you live in to different kinds of things that are just being parked out there, to somebody who's storing a bunch of boats, other kinds of equipment. And there isn't another entity. I mean, we've got some entities that are out there for certain purposes, but they don't regulate this. It all kind of runs uphill to us.
I'm gonna take that a little different direction. Just in general at the lake, did there used to be like an advisory group or organized group?
They had a-
Kent, I thought you'd mentioned.
They had
it one time.
I served on that board.
Okay,
Basically, what we did, at that time, the lake was not under wildlife and parks.
okay.
So the county bought all the fish.
Okay.
And then, we oversaw we basically got reports on the trailer rental and that sort of thing. But those were basically the two issues, at that time, Dale Snelling was kinda in charge. He ran it with a pretty
Iron fist.
iron fist.
I
and
think you probably
there
need one
wasn't
out there.
there wasn't too many things going on, and he knew exactly what was going on. And
Nobody
Is that
calls Dale.
back when they had the fish ponds on the bottom side of the dam?
We
Where
never-
the hatchery?
when was that?
debates, it was in the '70s, the '60s and '70s, when you and I just graduated, and they had the fish
Yeah.
ponds back down there, but
Yeah.
I don't know when that was.
I was on there probably in the around
They
90s.
used to distribute like little ponds and stuff.
I don't know that.
At the bottom of the dam,
Yeah.
a couple holding ponds.
Yeah, I remember.
Catch the fish up and over the spillway.
So, again, you can add to that list under lake with quite a few things. That I make notes of those as I get those calls or those inquiries.
You
And
put
it's,
the dam on there now.
yeah, that's actually very good. That's gonna be much more
Should be at
pressing
the
when
top of the list.
it's gonna vault to the top.
When you said trailers, are you talking,
Those
not
rental-
trailer houses?
The rental
I
trailers.
Yeah,
Okay, just for the rest of your board's information, I don't think since any of you guys have been on that I know we haven't raised the rent on the trailer houses. I would like for Isaac to give us an update on that, and see how things are going on that, so you can understand that. And when you do this, you will definitely hear from a lot of people.
Just need a
No
good
doubt.
strong.
That's where
link.
you just grandfather, and that way any change of hands starts paying that.
You can do it that way, but yeah, if you're not paying your utility bills and things, then you need to do it. And that's the last, 2 times that I've done it, sitting here, is that it's been just to take care of the utility bills and stuff like that. So,
If people keep them in the family, they don't really change
So,
ownership very often.
so just keep that in mind, that
They're still
trailer rent
popular, put it that way.
has not been updated.
Anything ever comes up
For
for
the last
sale,
few
it
years.
doesn't last very long.
Yeah,
It doesn't come up for sale very often.
But I don't know who the
Can't
third
believe
person
that
was.
the fund can't do that.
It's been a while.
the history has some value to me because I get that inquiry periodically about what we're doing, how do we control it,
So
what's
what's the guy there at the meeting yesterday, he says, yeah, I'm part of that trailer
We
trash.
don't own the trailers.
Right,
We just, we own
I
the
said, wait a minute,
lots.
we're real
Yeah.
proud of those things.
Yeah, and they have to pay yearly rent. So.
And that is still an in-demand kind of a service, so just.
Well, yeah, if you had another spot, it would be full.
The last time we did it, they said there was gonna be a bunch of them for sale. Yeah, there was a couple come up for sale, but then now there's not a one
They
for
seem to
sale.
pass down from family member to family member.
Well, not like
It's been a couple of years since there's actually been one for sale, I think.
I don't know how long
There was
it
one that popped up for sale the other day and it was gone in about 4 hours.
Wow.
I got a phone call about that, so.
So that's one thing that just touch base with. Tax sale procedure, we've talked about that already.
And these beget, I hate to do that because I know it's frustrating, but each one of these beget more questions and more topics. So just because we're mentioning them now, just to get you started, doesn't mean that that's exhaustive, because it is not on each one of these areas. The no refund is an easy one. That one
That
I,
was done already.
yeah.
Yeah, it's she said that you had a rare situation because it involves different money, maybe neighborhood revitalization or something, but everything else falls into that category.
Yeah, the one I had was neighborhood
So it was a special circumstance
Yeah.
where the money had to be returned.
Right.
Connecting links. Also, the declarations and the review of that. I know Bryce isn't going to want to hear that, but that also probably needs, in a phone call to the state, I got just a comment about, those probably ought to be reviewed and to see what is changed, if anything, because we're constantly talking about what are the priorities for our maintenance in terms of our road funds, and how do we deal with that, and what part of that does the state have any involvement in? So that's another one that needs to be comprehensively reviewed. Employee manual is a fairly major one. That's really going to involve a third party, I think. Who do we use in the past,
Last time we used Fulton Siefkin. There's a tool that we can use
Yeah.
through K-Camp to try to start it.
And at least get a list of what we'd really like to address and change without having to spend the money letting them do that, because that will get very expensive very quickly.
What in the employee manual don't need to be addressed?
What doesn't?
Doesn't need to be
So
addressed.
the whole thing needs to be addressed because it's been,
That's-
it's
Years.
been a long time.
Okay.
I thought they recommend every 3 years.
Yeah, ours
That's
is
been 10.
11, yeah.
It is, we reading through,
I mean, parts of it have been updated.
Sure, sure. And it's not like the whole thing, but it's just, it needs a comprehensive review and then the date stamp on it.
So if K-Camp, since it has a tool to utilize, what do? You form a committee to look at it?
No.
a committee is.
Sorry, I asked.
No, I mean,
Saying nicely.
no, I mean, if there are certain policies that the board wants to review and update, I mean, we can discuss those, but the majority of it is just trying to make sure that everything that's on the books is legal, and
Is
then
correct.
if there's,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
that's
it's
generally gonna be done in-house with the help of either a county counselor or an outside attorney. So there, I wouldn't suggest that a committee be necessary
No, I
for
agree.
something like that, but.
I have no problem going through that, you know, in terms of, Tina has a lot of good knowledge about it and experience, but I still think probably there would end up being, I'm gonna say for now, until we go through it, the need for a third party to review what we do. I'm just trying to minimize that cost and have it be something we do the majority of the grunt work in-house. So,
No, it wouldn't hurt to have the department heads involved in that, because
Right.
there may be things that affect their departments differently than just as a whole. For instance, the way we pay in the sheriff's office is different than how we pay the other departments. EMS has different types of shift work than, you know, the other types. So I think as far as a committee goes, you know, there might be, you might want a commissioner to be involved, and then I would say maybe your department heads, you'd get some feedback there, but, and I wasn't trying to, I apologize if I didn't sound, you know, I was distracted by something on the computer here, so it wasn't, that, I think that's a bad idea. I just think that you need somebody familiar with the county policies, familiar with HR issues, not just, if you're looking at a committee of citizens, I don't think that
No,
necessarily
I
makes
didn't mean
sense.
committee of citizens.
Yeah,
no.
yeah. So please forgive my tone if you thought I was.
We'll take it.
Thank
But
you.
But the whole ambulance department now, as it stands, has been invoked or put into place since we've updated the.
Yes.
That's right,
Yes.
that's right. And I know for certain, there are certain things that don't fit in our current policy. It doesn't fit that very well with the way they're scheduled.
and in the last decade, there have been at least some, what I will call significant changes in terms of personnel regulation that we get by, we can do with what we have, but are not nearly as efficient in addressing them as they should be. So when looking at those, just in terms of reading through it, it needs attention. Land bank, I've kind of set that up several times. We need to make a determination at some point if we want to do it. If so, putting that together is fairly straightforward, but then administering it and determining where we want to use it and how we want to attack that in terms of the comprehensive nature related to even tax sales. At times, there are a lot of instances where we don't have to put them on a tax sale. A contact with the property owner to say, well, you owe a whole lot of taxes. We can waive those right off right now if you just want to deed it over. And that's not inherently illegally coercive. That's just offering that up. I've had 3 or 4 people call me and say, just want to give it to you guys. And I've said, thanks, but no thanks. Here's the name of like one of the city land banks, if you want to go ahead and approach them with it. But, and they can't accept it in the county. But really, I would, in a lot of cases, prefer that we have that. And setting up a land bank and having you as the board of trustees is not a difficult thing for us to do.
The only thing I see right now that I know of is one property in particular in that situation right now that's in the county's hands, and Tina has to hire a lawnmower to mow it every year.
Yeah.
And that's something that's, I don't know if that's the only one that we're doing that with, Tina. but-
Right now, but we do have another one that we may have to start doing, because when I checked, we do have another one that didn't sell in the most recent sale, and we may have to do that.
And I've had 3 phone calls that I can think of in the last 4 or 5 months on different ones, one by Florence, several others that are not in the city limits of any of these cities, but close by, that people are willing here take it. I've had a bank, well, in one instance, and asked if we have that established, a national bank, because they're used to doing that. And there are ways for it to be
Okay.
potentially advantageous for us to have that
I'm
in
gonna
place.
stick with that one that I know in Peabody there. Tina, do we write a tax statement for it too? Yeah. Pay taxes on that still?
Yes.
In a land bank, you could.
Avoid that
You could
potentially.
avoid this stuff and clean this program up a little bit to help, I think. And this particular property down there is in the flood district and needs to be completely just
Mhm.
abandoned and cleaned up and make it easy to mow instead of having a mess there, so.
And once you get that system going, well, it's, I don't know who all listed in Marion County now, but like, I know Scott Gearing comes this way and does a lot of them. He will set a fee and go in and level it and turn it into a really nice level lot by the time he's through for a set amount, and that's haul off and turnkey. And when he knows that he's doing them regularly, or that they come up periodically, it is more economical, and I have him do that all over the place. Becker Brothers out of Holstead does the same thing, and several others. So we just need to have the tool in place, and right now we don't have that. And that was raised 2 years ago. I look back, I can't believe that much time has passed, but when you first asked me about it, and it's kind of just continued to hang out there.
Would the board like to see a different members than the commission members be on that board? I think you only need 3, correct?
Minimum of 3. I usually suggest 5, just because you get it from, if you're gonna do that, particularly because then you get it from different parts of the county. But the ease of having this body do it is just you can have a meeting right before this meeting, and move along with it, and you're gonna hear from people anyway. Most folks aren't shy about what they think about that sort of thing, and they'll let you know. On the other side of it, I have them the other way as well, and if you get the right people on it, it's great. You know, if they're willing to dedicate the time to it and be involved, you can get, you know, different people from different parts of the county to serve on it, and they sometimes will come in and suggest, hey, I've driven by this one for 10 years and nobody's ever done a thing with it. Why don't we make contact with so-and-so? So there's advantages to that as well. It's however you'd like to do it.
I'd hate to see it, but 5 volunteers drive in for a $25 piece of property that's,
Yeah.
you know, to make them spend their time on. But I'd like to see it myself. From what I've seen of it so far, that, and I'd see Hillsborough and Marion's both have them, I think.
It's also really useful if you get out in the county because they couldn't get themselves annexed or they don't want to. Someone tries to do a development out in the county with 5-acre tracts. It's really handy if the land bank is out there and existing, because sometimes there's property that comes up that would make a great opportunity for that sort of thing, and the land bank plugs in very well to that. I've got one right now. It's a stalled development, and the land bank took it, and now it's taking off because they're offering this up to people. There's no taxes owed on this. These are dig-ready lots, and particularly in today's environment, that makes them move.
That's in Marion County?
No, that was in Sedgwick County.
No, I was just thinking of the Goswell ones. What I'm
Yeah,
thinking of.
yeah.
That's,
Yeah,
I don't know how
there's-
they're doing. And do you know, have you heard anything down there lately?
They built 2 houses right across from the school.
Yeah.
Well, part of the reason that it came to me is I get questions on some properties. There was more of a question of how they were able to do what they did, but that I had to answer. But a lot of folks are very interested in buying smaller tracts, carving on family members off of a larger family tract, and building a nice home and living out in the country. I don't know how much of that we want to do if we want to encourage agricultural development, but a certain amount of that can be handy, especially if it's done in an area where you can set up a few of those and somebody comes out and does it. You drive to Wichita, look off of 35 and you see several of them that have been done that way, if you like that sort of thing. So it's a matter of what you want to see. That's part of what you guys
What
need
would
to
be the
do.
process for us to form a land bank?
Basically, I can send it again. I did that kind of a here's how to, and here's what it does and how it works in a county environment. and I can send that to you with kind of a
Yes.
checklist again.
Yeah, do that again.
That I've done it before, and so it's fairly straightforward. The short form answer is we come in and we do it by resolution.
Right.
Everybody ready for it, sorted? John, you want to try to take a look at it?
I can draft, I have it drafted, you know what I'm saying? I did that when you first asked, so I can send that out to you with that, you know, all that other background stuff for you to look at.
Let's do it.
Okay. The Peabody Bridge, we just added, but there's a bunch of stuff with some bridges. This one is, I need to talk to Bryce because we have to get a hold of the guys at state before I do more with that. But there's a number of those kinds of things that he's got on a list that we've talked about that really, some of them he and I can solve, some of them need to come to you.
Is that bridge in Middleware?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the actual bridge to nowhere, I believe, is in Clements, so it's not in Marion County.
Okay. It's one of those bridges in nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, and this one actually goes somewhere because it's on 50, and we've never established who owns what and how.
That's one the city owns.
And the city said we didn't take it. And then the best we can find so far is it looks like it may be half and half, but really it needs to get to us. And here it sits, and at some point it's gonna need maintenance. And we don't wanna be, I've been through that in Halsted, we don't wanna be through this argument of, well, it's all yours now, and the state has nothing to do with it, which they couldn't do anyway because they got 50.
You're saying it needs to come back to the county?
Yeah.
You're talking two different things, I
Yes.
think.
We
Yeah,
are.
I think you are here.
And the highway goes over
Mhm.
the railroad
That's the one
tracks?
I'm talking about. That one to nowhere is another issue separately.
But Highway
At
50 should
Florence
go
is also,
state, shouldn't it?
well, it's not how it's working out. We'll have to give you the full summary. We've got some involvement in it. And that's the problem, is we don't know what our level of involvement is.
I was thinking, like Tina was thinking, is the Peabody Bridge that was talking about down there, where we don't know who owns it, south end of Main Street.
Yes, that one.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
That's the one I was talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
'Cause I see it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got several there that,
Historical bridge.
as we've tried to ascertain,
The sad part about that one is just down the road, across the Goyle Creek, that's Spring Creek that you see there, but across Goyle Creek, about less than a quarter of a mile down, there's a
isn't,
brand new bridge down there. It's built back in the 60s, same time as the other one was built over there, where we don't know, nobody's inspected it.
and the problem exists in multiple locations. As we looked at this one, that caused us then to look at the
Yeah.
various ones across the county, and we've got the same problem all over the place. So it should say bridges, we can leave Peabody off of.
Yeah, just bridges, okay. We can do that. Dave's got that eraser, he knows how to do
I'll put a bigger print,
that. There you go, Dave.
because it's more than one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Since
more
it
than
was
one.
Peabody, I made it really small.
Bridge should be its own category, yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't know he was volunteering when he come in, he didn't know he was gonna be the board writer, did he?
Well, he shouldn't have kept all that stuff in his desk.
What next?
Actually, if you shift over to the right on the projects, several of them, thank God, are not my problem. But, and some of them are things that we've really sort of dealt with, like our heated dock. Well, now we've got a completely different action there. It's going to, we'll talk about later, but another day. But tax abatements, the neighborhood revitalization program are both, along with the lake improvements, are the three that I took off of that one. We've already talked a little bit about all the things at the lake, but neighborhood revitalization perhaps needs another review.
While you're on that, how's everybody feel about that? I mean, I know how I've felt about it since I was in on it since the start, but I'm gonna try keeping it general here. Do you feel that we need to give taxes back? Is that a good enough break to our people to help them? Or do we, for what it's worth, we don't do it anymore? I think that's my question, is, the main question is, what do you need to make that decision for other council members or commission members besides me? And so, I think that's my question to us, and that's why it's up there, is do we continue it or do we not continue it?
So how many people come in before? I know a lot of people come in after they build.
Oh, there,
Because they didn't know about it.
if Sharon gets on our county build sites, if they get out there and do it, why, and Sharon gets to do it, most of them will come in and do that, but
There was people who hadn't built without it.
yes.
And do we need to spend the money to get them to build?
Yeah, they're gonna build no matter which way.
Yeah,
That's,
so the money's not an incentive for them.
it don't seem to be.
So we should just keep it then. Should not do it.
Well, that's sort of where I intended to.
That's the short version.
It didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
It was
It
intended
doesn't
to help
encourage people to
come.
build.
Yes.
So we ought to do something else.
And that leads to that, again, perfect example, it leads to that
I
conversation.
don't know what.
Well, that's it. We need to talk about what other alternatives there might be.
And I think if you answer that question, then we decide a date and make it, and then we have to notify our other school entities and stuff that it will be not, that we would, I don't know if we have the right to just completely disband it, do we?
Well, you could vote to do away with it, and then anybody that's currently in the program would have to be finished out.
Yes.
You wouldn't be
Yes,
able to
finished
cut
out.
them off.
Correct,
Right,
correct.
but other
But
than that, I mean, I
you
think
can stop it,
you
yeah.
could stop it at any
No
time.
more applications.
But we had to have the other taxing entities on board, and I didn't know what that.
And the reason they had to be on board is because they're not
We had-
receiving all their tax
Okay.
dollars, so they had to opt in or out.
Yeah.
At the time we implemented it, because they had to agree to not receive their tax
Okay,
dollars.
great.
So I don't think they would have to, I mean, we would notify them, but I
The-
don't think they would have to do any action to
No.
once again receive their tax dollars.
The people that's in it,
Right.
people that's in it's in it, and then
Right.
till
Right.
the end of it, then they're over with, and the whole program's be over in
Yes,
some year.
yes.
And because the municipal entities have the right to set up their own program, they're not gonna complain if, we did something. They wanna come back then and say, we're coming back to you and the school district, and we wanna have ours, that's their.
And we do have several cities that have their own programs
Yeah,
also.
within their jurisdictional limits only.
Should have told them.
We just have to decide if we wanna have something that makes it attractive
That's
on the
what
county,
we did.
and if it's really, as you guys were discussing, been of value to do so. So,
Any comments on that?
Well, going back to courthouse, I was gonna bring back up the security again under commission comments. I mean, I think it's something that we need to decide if we're gonna do and if we do move forward.
And we could probably tie that under the ARP funds.
that hit it, about 40 minutes, that's what I intended the first time. And that's my initial list, then I haven't added mine yet, you don't wanna see that.
Okay. There is one thing on the bottom though that I will tell you what I've seen this week, and I'd like every one of you to look at, is the EMS building that's going up in Hillsborough. If you look at the downgrade from the east, or from the north to the south, and there's 4 stakes out there that's just roughly set out there, because they was trying to figure out the height of the building so that the water from the north don't come down and get to us, and this and that. And, but in that, what is it, 80 foot long? Is that what it is, 50 by 80?
Yeah.
Okay. In that 80 foot, there's also about 10 inches of drop from the south to the north. So if we bring that up on the north end, you're looking at that flat cement that's there, and that's gonna be the driveway there. But the way the building's gonna be, we're gonna have about 21 foot between the property line and the building. And they're gonna angle park on that north end there. And there's gonna be a slope, something like,
So you're gonna have a foot drop to the street there.
yeah.
Existing concrete.
And to the existing concrete there, I don't know, I'm just saying, this is something that's, you can't imagine this till you see the elevation
Yeah.
shots and stuff, and this is nothing final, they just looked at it the other day, and I called Travis just to see what was going on, and he told me about the elevation, and so, and I don't want, I'd like to see it level, but,
Your drainage too.
and the drainage, we're worried about, because we're thinking about cutting a ditch to go back to the east
Yeah.
and go around to the north of us.
You had to build a cement wall around the southeast corner then.
Well, it's just things that's popping up, guys. I mean, it's just something we're gonna have to deal with. And I want them, because I don't want a fire truck out there having to put an emergency brake on, even on the ramp going down, on that end. So we want to stay with it. They'll look at it more, we'll know more as it goes along here, but this is just a preview of what I've seen. And so keep that in mind of how we can do something to.
We could push the building further back on the lot.
Yeah, I'm just, right now they haven't got everything set yet to do it, but that's something that, there is 10 inches of drop from one end to the
Yeah,
other.
I mean, you can see that.
Yeah. So
Driving
anyway,
up there.
I wanted to, that's an elevation, we got an elevation problem with our ramp here coming up to our building down here on our trash station, and I don't want, it's not gonna be near that bad on this one.
That's
It's
whole
just
other
something.
extreme there.
Yeah. So take a look at it, you'll see the stakes out there when you drive by.
So when's the building coming?
Well,
Have we got the land yet?
no, not yet. We're
And
getting it.
we're waiting for what?
Well, they had to, since it's coming from the land bank, they had to publish it for 30 days and subject to, I believe, appeal or protest. And then, when you signed that agreement, it said we had to close within 45 days, so I don't remember what day you did that,
Yeah.
but, so,
It's coming.
I mean, I would think it would be within the next couple of weeks.
They established a notice requirement in their land bank that I don't normally use. And that's fine, it's just that added 30 days to that portion of it.
In case somebody else wanted to buy it, you know.
I guess that's a thought, because they're holding those properties and writing off all the taxes to go ahead and give the public at large notice and an opportunity. That's all I'm thinking.
So, anybody else, any other comments here? I mean, this is on things on the board there, before it closes, if Brad's ready to close it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
You're not
what
gonna
I'm
give us
saying.
your list?
What's that?
You're not gonna give us your list?
No, I will. Oh, yeah, you'll get it. But it adds to all of this, and I just kind of wanted to go through this before I did that. And then I'll send out a few things as we go at this point this week to get you started.
With nothing else then, Tina, do you have anything to finalize or take care of?
No administrative,
Okay.
so just your regular end of meeting things.
Okay, public comments. Any public
So,
comments?
I do have one on the chat. I do have a name, I don't have an address. So I'll read it, and if the person decides to provide an address, then I'll include it in the minutes according to your current policy, unless you want to do something different. So this is from someone called Samantha Miller. And the comment is, wondering if Marion County is planning on donating equal funds to all religious churches, organizations within Marion County, not only the Catholic Church. Discrimination based on religion, ? Also utilizing county employees as taxpayer expense for the Catholic deal in September is not right. Not all taxpayers are Catholic, nor do they appreciate the frivolous spending of money. If employees wish to donate their time, let them utilize vacation time, do not use tax-funded hours. This is a private event and should not be funded by tax dollars. Any charity type funding supplied via tax dollars is completely inappropriate use of county tax monies. So that was the comment.
That's a comment. Thank you, Samantha Miller, if you're from Hillsborough. It's good to hear from people. Does any commission member care to speak to that?
They're referring to public safety, so, I mean, where it's our
Yeah.
obligation to handle public safety. Whether it's any event, period.
That's where the direction of this money will go to, is public safety. And so, no, thank you for your comment, we appreciate that. So, I see no other comments from the public. I'll move to commission comments. Kent, you said you was gonna bring one up, did you?
Well, we talked about it a
Okay.
little bit, the
Okay.
courthouse security, I think we need to keep that on the radar, and
What,
try to move forward.
did the budget, did we do something, did we put somebody to it?
You put 25,000 in 2022 to potentially look at maybe staffing a part-time guard for judicial district and for the courthouse.
Security for, yeah.
But we are gonna have to address, you know, the security cameras and whatever other kind of systems that you would want to put in place or not, so.
Integrate phone system.
I know.
Everything would tie back to.
Okay. And that's coming up through tech committee, because I think that's what he was talking about, like tech committee's working on.
It's also a
Yes.
possibility of the ERP.
Right, you know, you're gonna need to probably schedule some time fairly soon, once the budget's wrapped up, to do some work sessions on the ARP funding and to potentially look at whether those are, any of the security related, like camera technology, phones, would be something that you'd want to try to fund through those.
Can you put us on the docket for a schedule for that, Tina?
Sure. When do you wanna have a work session for that?
Were we looking at 30 days from now to do that? Or get started? I mean, September's gonna be here before long. We got 5 months left.
Do you wanna do it in August? Start in August or not?
Yeah, I don't care. It's, when is the holiday? Is it in September? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so. Put it up there for the 23rd or 31st.
Okay,
And what we need to accomplish, and
You wanna do a morning then?
yeah, that 31st would be a good one, probably do the morning, if we do it, that payday. What kind of time frame is it gonna take? I'm work session for an hour, 2 hours?
yeah, probably. So payday, the 31st is payday, so do you want, and you're already meeting in the morning on that day, so do
Yeah.
you just wanna put that at the end of your meeting?
Yeah. If that's
Your
okay with the
regular
commission, the 31st?
That's a Tuesday.
That's September?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
August
August.
31st, yeah. That's the day I've got issues with. I mean, I can be here to take care of payroll, then I'm gonna have to go on, so that's, you can go ahead and do it if you want.
So you wanna just look at maybe on the 23rd of August, which
Yeah.
is the Monday, and
Yeah.
do like a little bit earlier than your regular 12:30?
Yeah, we can do that.
Or you can do
That's
it
fine,
last.
too. Let's
Right
try
now,
that.
there's not a lot on here, so.
First of all, yeah, let's try it the 23rd then, early.
So 10:30?
Yeah, 10:30. 11.
Which one?
10:30.
11? 10? What? Okay,
10:30, 11.
I was gonna say 10, but.
10, okay. You
okay.
got all your counts fed by then?
I mean, it'll take an hour and a half at least, won't it, 2 hours?
Well, it depends on how much you guys wanna talk.
On
I don't know.
How many times she's
I
gonna
like how
sign.
she covers.
that case,
She
make
covers
it
up from
8.
both cameras with the calendar.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In order to say that.
Is Brad gonna be here?
Probably.
10:30 then?
Yeah.
10:30.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it at 10:30
Okay.
on August 31st.
23rd.
Yeah, sorry, I wrote it on the 23rd. It's on the
Yeah.
23rd.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But she did pronounce the 21st or so.
Yeah, I said the wrong day.
Yeah.
10:30 a.m. work session on Monday, August 23rd, and
Security.
that's for the ARP.
Security ARP.
Okay. All right,
Well, I just see if it's in the budget for the first, we want to be headed this year to get it ready for the first of the year, next year. See if we can get it started right at the first of the year.
And I will say I've got a judicial district meeting this week, so I don't know if they'll bring anything up about security or not. But I could ask, and then if they do wanna have a proposal, I don't know if the judge is changing, you know, whether that is kind of.
They've got those selections set, I mean, in terms of the number of candidates, et cetera, and so you're gonna get a new judge.
Right.
Probably will have some thoughts on it, I'm guessing they'll wait till then anyway.
Right, so they probably won't push until the new
Yeah.
judges are in place.
Okay. Any final calls or anything else?
Well, while we're talking about work sessions, is it time for our administrator management? We got past budget. You wanna bring that up in August?
Yeah.
Not the 23rd?
Yeah.
Do you need a work session for that, or do you want to put it as an extended agenda item on a regular day, or
I
what
think
would
a
you
work
like to?
session, we need
Okay.
Could we do it at 10:30? How about earlier, before the 23rd? What do we got? Like the second Monday? What's the second?
That's the 9th.
9th or the 16th?
Either or.
Let's go to 9th. Does that work? Because I think Jonah's already gathered the information, and
So
we've just been kind of sitting, waiting to get through budget, so we got time
When are you
to.
gonna be?
Not
gone,
9th
Randy?
to 10:30?
Randy,
what?
when are you gonna be gone?
When am I?
Yeah,
October.
well, October.
Yeah. October
Right.
1st through the 8th or 9th.
Okay, so Monday, August 9th, 10:30, work session, county administrator. Okay,
And also potential management contract, we can leave it open. Because there are various options. But we'll try to get our information. Filling up August. We had so much fun in July. Even twice. a
Since
year.
we've had the final call, that's gonna do it now. I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Don't want another work session? Man, you're on a roll.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, do you need our laptops?
I do need your laptops, please. I forgot to get them last week. Oh, I'll show. Hold on.
Yeah, change
Just a
names.
second, I still have,